Hello, everyone. Welcome to this month's PC Power Hour. We have a lot on the agenda today, so I'm going to start jumping right into it. Last month, we had an amazing session. We had so many of our PCs come out. There was a lot of discussion in the chat. Like the young people say, the chat was lit last month, right? So that's what we want to see again. We want to continue the dialogue. We want to hear your comments, your questions, your recommendations to the work. This is always a collaborative effort, so we really want to hear from our partner colleges. So feel free to put in any information as we're going through the presentation in the chat. Some of my colleagues may be responding to some of those questions or concerns, but we also have some time at the end of the session where we will open up the floor for questions, remarks, and just an open dialogue. So last month, we did really focus on the resources that we provide internally directly from the Dream.Us that really is in support of our Dream.Us scholars, right? But as we often hear from our partner colleges, we know that many of you are supporting undocumented students outside of our scholarship and always ask, well, it's great that you have this internship program, this fellowship program, but can I offer this to the other undocumented students that I am working with? And unfortunately, sometimes the answer is no, and we're not able to extend those opportunities. But today's focus session really is on external resources. So we will have a couple of little pieces that are still going to be specific to our scholars, but for the majority of the session, we are going to be talking about resources that are going to be help you to work with undocumented students on your campus across the board, right? This is really a session for practitioners and providing support and resources to you all, again, to work with undocumented students across the board. I had the pleasure last week to present with my colleagues, Nicole, Gabby, Hayne. We all sort of went out to two conferences earlier last week to really talk about how to support undocumented students with NEBOs, how they are contributing to the mainstream economy, career and employment resources, right? So just want to make sure that we are putting that scope and that lens into this session. We are continuing to broaden our scope, broaden our network into other organizations in order to support this populations beyond the Dream.Us scholarship, right? So we always want to make sure that we are providing those avenues for our partner colleges to be able to have those resources and that support, right? We are more than just a scholarship, as we always say. So let's get right into it because there is a lot. So we're going to start off with some quick announcements. There's some things that are coming up even just this week that you should be in know of and that you may want to participate in. Directly after that, I am so glad that we have our colleague from our sister organization, Ivana, who is going to be coming in talking about President's Alliance and all of the great work that they are doing in support of this community. And really sort of, again, providing you all some great resources that they are offering. From that, we will shift focus to Nicole Wesley, who is going to be talking about NEBO opportunities outside of the Dream.Us. So this will be available both to your scholars and to other undocumented students that you are serving on your campus, right? Again, this is a whole general session to provide you this information. As I mentioned, we will have an open forum for your questions and concerns or comments, dialogue. Again, this is a working relationship. We want to be good partners. We want to hear from you and just make sure that we are working collaboratively on these efforts. And then we'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek of what we have in store for our October PC Power Hour. So jumping into some announcements, I'm going to pass it off to the marvelous Nicole Mejia, who's going to talk about the 2024 PC Directory updates.
Hi, everyone. So again, my name is Nicole Mejia. You can refer to me as Mejia, and please keep that in mind when emailing us, since we do have two Nicoles on the team now. First, thank you to the partner colleges that have already started to send their updated contact information or confirming that there are no changes. We still have quite a few colleges that need to submit by tomorrow. So if you see your name on this slide, please be sure to email me, and we really encourage you to use the table format so that it's easy to identify all of the roles, their title, their email, all those things. And if for some reason you don't have one person sending everything for your partner college, please make sure you reply all to the email chain so that everyone in your team is aware of those updates being sent. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. So Nicole is amazing. She's been doing a great job of just sending out this information, collecting it, and updating all of this information on our end. So this is really important, folks. I really hope that you guys can send this information to her as soon as possible. We use it to know who to contact on the campus for anything that is related to the Dream.Us scholarship, but we also post it on our website on the PC directory so that scholars know who on their campus they can reach to for their questions, for their issues, right? So it really helps on multiple levels. And in addition to that, we would love to do a session with all of the new um, folks who are serving in these roles. We know that there is a lot of turnover, and that's why we are asking for this updated information. So what we would love to do is collect all the information, see who is going to be new and working with the program on your campuses so that we can do a formal orientation session so that any information that you need to know as a new member of our Dream.Us campus community, we can provide you that guidance and that information. So super, super important. Later this week, we will be hosting our first immigration Q&A for our scholars and alum. Dream.us PCs are also welcome to attend, but this really is a student-facing event and session. We will have attorney Sui Chung. She is the executive director of Americas for Immigrant Justice. She's worked with us in the past. She is amazing with our scholars. She answers their questions so effectively and provides them resources of how to go about whatever their question is and how to basically do that follow-up. The 26th will be our first session. We will be doing these at the last Thursday of every month. So the next couple of sessions that are going to be coming up on October 31st and November 21st. A lot of the questions really are on how students can change their status or what possibilities there are for them. And again, Sui is just a leader in this field and has done an amazing job at really guiding our scholars. I also want to remind everyone that you can find this information and other resources for immigration questions or concerns on our website, and you will receive the PowerPoint slides tomorrow in the PC Weekly. So you'll have all the links. And I know that Nicole is actually also putting the link to the reference guide, which has all of the links for the entire presentation. So if there's anything that you want to register for right now, you can go ahead and use the registration link to register for those sessions. I also wanted to mention that we are extending the grant application for our MEG Path Nursing Conference. As you know, we have been doing these conference grants where we have been taking scholars to professional conferences. This one is specifically for those in the nursing field. The deadline actually closed this Sunday, but we have a little bit more room to take a few more scholars. And so this has been different than other applications that we've done in the past, as we are also taking alumni who are currently working in the nursing field, right? So we have a number of alumni who have already applied and also agreed to serve as mentors for current scholars who are going to be attending this conference, right? So this is a great opportunity, not just for them to attend a professional conference, but really have some guidance from someone who was in their situation, who has a very similar circumstance and has already worked through a lot of the challenges that they will face going into the field, right? So if you have any nursing students, please let them know that this is an opportunity that they should take advantage of right now. It is based on a one-time grant, so it's not guaranteed that this will be an opportunity that we will be able to make available next year. So this is their opportunity. We've also extended it now to sophomores. Initially, we had only sent it out to juniors and seniors, but Now, if you're a sophomore or above, you are eligible to apply for this grant. And then our final announcement, if you haven't seen it in our PC Weekly, Immigrants Rising is doing a session tomorrow called Preparing for Change, How a New Administration Could Impact DACA Recipients. So this is definitely a session, if you can attend, that you would probably want to check out. It does seem like it's going to be more policy-based in terms of what that means for the 600,000 individuals currently in our country who have DACA and are going to be impacted if the DACA program is terminated, and their work authorizations and their protective status is taken away. So this is definitely a session you would want to attend if possible. The presenters are again going to be Immigrants Rising, Cornell Law School, Path for Papers, and the Immigration Institute of the Bay Area. Um, it does seem like it's going to be more policy based, but I do want to put an emphasis on the wellness support. Intentionally, we did extend our invitation specifically to mental health liaisons on our campuses for this PC Power Hour. And we did that with the intention because we know that some of what Ivana is going to cover in the next portion of this session is going to be mental health support services for undocumented students and how mental health professionals can better work with this population. As we know, anytime we have an election year, immigration is at the forefront, anxiety is at the forefront. This is what we are seeing right now. It's been a hot topic in all of the presidential debates to point, and it's only going to get more intensified and increase within the next 2 months, right before the election date. So we want our mental health liaisons on our campuses to anticipate this, to know that this is coming up. And that our scholars are feeling the anxiety, they are feeling the fear and the insecurity of what the next administration could bring to them and to their families, right? Um, so it is really important that they know that they can come to their counseling offices on campus and receive the proper support. So I will stop there and I will pass it off to Ivana from from President's Alliance, who will talk a little bit about that later. But before that, she will introduce some overall practices.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm really excited to be here with y'all. I'm Ivana Lopez Espinosa, she, ella pronouns. I'm the project manager for the campus engagement team at the President's Alliance on Higher Education and Immigration. Great to see some folks that I already know. And if I haven't met, I'm happy to meet you. For today, we're going to talk a little bit about the undocumented community of practice and action. I'm going to give us an overview of what we do, zoom in on some of the tracks that we've had, and then I'm going to transition over to talk about our new resource on employment-based visas. But with that being said, just a little bit about me. I myself am a DACA recipient. I grew up in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and then spent my adolescent years or my youth in Frederick, Maryland. And so I've lived in different states, sorry. But to kick our conversation off today, the undocumented community of practice and action came out of the 2022 success convening, where attendees expressed a need for a space to connect with other staff working with undocumented students. And so the President's Alliance team, and if you know Luz Bertadillo, worked really hard to get the practitioner directory up and running in April 2023, where right now, I'll give you some numbers, is a hub where practitioners who work with undocumented students can find other practitioners' contact information by area of expertise. And alongside the directory, we also launched the Undocu COPA listserv, where folks who are signing up for the directory can opt into this listserv to ask questions and have a virtual platform for collaborative brainstorming and resource sharing. And then in September 2023, we launched our meetings, which is really exciting. And I'll talk a little bit about what's happening this year. But really, the meetings are a space for practitioners to share effective practices, by hosting and attending topic-specific sessions, so we can facilitate connections and develop resources for, again, folks that work with undocumented students. Could we go to the next slide? So here's some information on where we're at now. As of this morning, we have 204 directory members that include higher ed professionals and nonprofit staff. This is super exciting because when we started, we had about 40 people interested and joined, and then we've had a really great, robust group of folks that are now in the directory, who you are able to reach out to ask questions, but are also just experts in their field doing really good work supporting undocumented students. And then with our Undocu COPA meetings, we just kicked off our second year, which is super exciting. We have a new format where we're talking about two different tracks. And so we're talking about mental health and wellness, as well as graduate and professional school. Again, I'll share a little bit more here soon. But our year two has been really exciting. We've had some really great evaluation and feedback from from attendees. And so we're hoping to continue to grow our meetings. And if you have like topic ideas or things that you would like to see in these spaces, please feel free to share them in the chat or email me directly. Really, we want to make sure that we include our members and our partners to inform the topics that we pick for the COPA meetings, because we want to make sure that the conversations we're having really help and support you all. And then lastly, we've seen folks use the listserv a lot more this last year, which has been super exciting. And so we've seen folks use it and ask for feedback, try to do networking, connect students with resources, and then gather some examples on institutional and state policies to help advance the work that they're doing either on their campuses or in their state. Next. So for this year, we are hosting 2 tracks this fall. The first one being centering mental health and wellness for undocumented students on campus. We have our great facilitator, Amada, who is a second-year Master's of Social Work student at Cal State Long Beach. These sessions are meant to address mental health and wellness for undocumented students on a micro, meso, and macro scale. And so the first session, the video is up on the higher ed portal. We really focus on understanding the landscape, what's happening with the election, what's the status of DACA, how might students be impacted right now with everything that's happening, in addition to being students and the stressors that students face just on an everyday, just on campus. We also wanted to highlight and bring awareness to the fact that some of the practitioners that are working with undocumented students are also directly impacted individuals. And so making sure we were providing tips on how to better support students, but also how to hold space for themselves as we are all walking through the next few months together. We encourage you to join tomorrow's session on September 25th, where we'll be talking about creating spaces for community building and collaborative or community building and really group wellness spaces. And so we have a really great speaker that's going to be joining, who will be talking about different programming. And if you do attend, we hope that you leave with some ideas for future programming that you can host on your campuses. And then on October 9th, we are super excited to bring in some folks who have advocated and successfully established a position on their campus for a mental health provider that directly serves immigrant students. And so we're hoping to talk a little bit about institutional change, who key players are, and making sure that you can establish a role like this on your campus. And then the second track we have from October to November is our supporting undocumented students in graduate and professional school. And so this one will be structured similarly, where they're building on each other. And so the first session will really be focused on as a staff member, how do you support undergraduate students think about graduate and professional school from the moment they are curious or from the moment that they start on your campus? And so what are things that you should know ahead of time so you can best support these students, consider their post-graduation options? And then we'll be talking about making graduate and professional programs more accessible and friendly. And we'll finish off this track by thinking about non-employment based opportunities and how to open more funding for graduate students in different programs, which I'm excited to see that Nicole will be talking about that a little today too. For these tracks, I just want to invite folks, if you have specific resources that you have found useful as you're working with students, either regarding to mental health and wellness or graduate and professional school, please feel free to share them with me. We always like to highlight the resources that are out there instead of recreating the wheel. And you can find the resources again on the Higher Ed Immigration portal. And I can share that link if we need. But feel free to email me at ivana@presidentsalliance.org if you want to just share some topic ideas that you might have or share any resources that you use and you have in your toolkit. But with that being said, I'm going to transition us into success. We are super excited to say that the date has been selected. And so please mark your calendars for September 11th and 12th, 2025 for the next Success National convening. It'll be in Chicago, Illinois. We're super excited to partner with the University of Illinois, Chicago and IIT. Feel free to sign up to get notifications. We'll be launching the registration page in about a month. And we'll be putting out a call for proposals here soon. So we're super excited to start thinking about success this year. Cool. I'm gonna now transition into talking about our employment-based visa resource. This is a super exciting document. I'm gonna start by prefacing that I am not the staff member that is leading these efforts. In fact, it is Anita Gupta, but I am happy to share a little bit about what this resource has. And then you'll have her contact information at the end of this presentation. And so we just launched this resource on how to sponsor DACA recipients and other dreamers for employment-based visas, really thinking about how higher education institutions can support their employees and alumni. So for folks that might not be familiar, on June 18th, 2024, President Biden announced a new executive action to support DACA recipients and other dreamers to access non-immigrant employment-based visas. I'm sure that you're seeing a lot of webinars about this, and you'll continue to see more information come out as the program continues to unfold. But really with this new executive action, we're seeing that it's going to have significant impact for students and alumni who are in STEM, healthcare, teaching, and business. More, of course, but these are some fields that we have identified that might be impacted the most. And so as institutions of higher education, you really have an important role to play in realizing the potential of this policy. Could we go to the next slide? Perfect. And so just a brief overview of employment-based visas. U.S. immigration law allows DACA recipients and undocumented persons to obtain lawful status in the United States based on their educational background, skills, and job offers. And so employers really need to start thinking about or need to consider how to offer an individual full-time position and what they might need to sponsor them for a work visa. And so there are different benefits and opportunities to employment-based visas, such as travel opportunities for work or pleasure, not having to renew a 2-year work authorization, and then it provides a more stable and certain future. And so it's important to know that sponsoring an employee for lawful status can provide some certainty that the person can continue working legally in the United States without disruption. Could we go next? Perfect. And so There are two types of visas that are outlined in this resource. The first one being visas that lead to lawful permanent residency. And so employers would need to think about obtaining a labor certification, which really ensures that there are no other qualified US workers available to take that position. Employers must attest to pay at least the prevailing wage per the position, and it can be for any full-time position without a fixed end date, regardless of their field or educational background or skills. The second type of visa on the next slide is a non-immigrant work visa, which have a fixed period. There's no automatic path to obtain lawful permanent residency, but it may be easier to obtain permanent residency in the future. Employees must have at least a bachelor's degree or its equivalent, and the position must require the employee to have a specific degree. And so a really great example for the partner colleges on this call is a university counselor who has a degree in counseling, or a software engineer specialist with a degree in computer engineering would be good candidates for the H-1B visa. And so just for folks to know, the most common non-immigrant employment-based visa for DACA recipients and undocumented folks is the H-1B, but there are other non-immigrant visas that you can consider. So in the next few slides, I'm going to run through these pretty quickly, and you can find these in the resource that we are highlighting today. There are different recommendations and outreach strategies for institutions of higher education to consider as we are moving forward with employment-based visa opportunities. And so making sure that you're sharing existing resources and information with staff, students, and alumni about potential employment-based visa options, and making sure that they have the most updated policy guidance and how that may be impacting them. So we do have two resources on the higher ed portal, one being the Legal Pathways at Work resource hub that is updated daily. And you can find upcoming webinar opportunities, but other resources such as one-pagers on what employment-based visas look like. And on the hub, we will soon be launching a legal screening tool. More to come. We're hoping to launch that by the end of the year, but this is open and available to partner colleges and President's Alliance members, so they are able to qualify for some consultations for the staff and maybe students on campus. And then the next resource that we have is the D3 Interest listserv. We encourage folks, students and alumni in higher education to sign up to get updates on employment-based visas and the D3 waivers that are happening. The next recommendation is to make sure that you identify employees who might be eligible for employment-based visa options, making sure that you have some effective outreach strategies, and you can request information from HR, but make sure that the information remains safe by removing employees' names, and also assess the campus climate towards immigrants to ensure that the outreach is fruitful. The next recommendations are conducting a broad and inclusive outreach to potential eligible populations, followed by providing referrals for legal consultations to interested employees so they can explore their options for immigration relief. And then the last two would be implementing a practice of considering visa sponsorships for all employees, and then designating a point of contact for any staff looking for additional resources or assistance. And so this is a really great resource that we just published, and we encourage you to take a look at it and just stay informed on what's happening with employment-based visas. But as I promised, the last slide, you can go ahead and contact Anita Gupta, who's the managing attorney for legal programs and initiatives. Make sure you follow our Legal Pathways at Work initiative on the Higher Ed Immigration portal. And if you are available, we encourage you to come to our upcoming webinar on October 17th at 3 p.m. Eastern to hear about the executive action and latest guidance. So feel free to register, and I'm excited to see you all there. With that being said, thank you so much for your time. Feel free to reach out to me, share any thoughts that you may have regarding the undocumented community of practice. And I'm happy to stay in touch. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ivana. With that, we will pass it on to Nicole, who is going to be speaking on the NEBOs.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Ivana, for sharing all those wonderful resources on how to support undocumented students and individuals. I look at President's Alliance resources a lot, and I'm part of their email chain, so hopefully some of you will be signing up for some of those resources as well. So now, as Chris mentioned, I'll be talking about some NEBOs opportunities. For those of you that are unfamiliar with what a NEBO is, a NEBO is a non-employment-based opportunity that does not require work authorization and therefore is inclusive to all of our scholars. NEBOs are typically education-based and typically aligned with the academic calendar, maybe per semester, maybe for 2 semesters, maybe for a full year. But I will be walking through some current NEBOs programs that have applications open and that are eligible for our scholars, as well as any undocumented student, so long as they meet the program's requirements. Before we dive into it, just also want to mention, it is on my to-do list and an upcoming intern that we'll be recruiting for to help create a directory of inclusive paid internship and fellowship opportunities that are open to undocumented students. So if you personally know of any paid inclusive internship or fellowship programs that we are not promoting out, feel free to share that opportunity with me. It doesn't have to be currently recruiting, but you are welcome to share that with me so we can add it to our future directory. Next slide, please. I also want to briefly talk about taxes, just so that our partner college contacts can be proactive in informing our scholars that when they secure a paid opportunity, that more than likely that compensation is considered taxable income by the IRS, and they should be setting aside about 30 to 35% of their stipend, of their compensation, to pay taxes come tax season. A lot of our scholars don't realize this, so that's why I'm quickly informing you all on today's call so that you can be proactive in sharing this information with your scholars. This snippet that you see on the screen is actually a snippet from our Tax Matters FAQ guide, which you can find on our ITIN website. Next slide. One last thing too to mention about taxes and NEBOs is that most inclusive paid internship and fellowship programs do require participants to complete Form W-9. Form W-9 is essentially requesting a taxpayer identification number, which includes a social security number, an ITIN, or an EIN. So I just wanted to mention these things about Form W-9 as we often get questions from scholars and partner colleges. With Form W-9, yes, an ITIN can be inputted into the social security number field. I think there's about 5 or 6 instruction pages after the first page, which is the form. And if you read those instruction pages, it will actually state that you can input an ITIN if you do not have a social security number into the social security number field. Also, there's a certification section that the individual does need to sign this form and also certify that all the statements are true. One of those statements mentions something to the fact that I am a US citizen or other US person. And we get this question a lot from our scholars. Well, what does that mean? For tax purposes only, our scholars are considered a US resident alien or another US person for tax purposes only, because they meet the IRS's substantial presence test. You can learn more information about that once we send out the slides in tomorrow's PC Weekly. The last thing I want to mention about Form W-9 is that entities or programs that collect Form W-9 to disperse the stipend for an inclusive internship or fellowship, they're collecting that information so that they can report the payment that they're dispersing to our scholars and other student participants to the IRS, and copies of Form 1099, which is what the program is completing, are sent to the IRS as well as to the payment recipient, our scholars and other students that are participating in that program. Form 1099s are usually sent post-payment, post-experience around tax season, around January, February. Next slide, please. All right, so now we're going to talk about some NEBOs. One I wanted to mention is that we are currently recruiting for a Career Connections intern within TheDream.Us. They will be assisting myself in creating that directory I briefly mentioned on inclusive paid internship and fellowship opportunities. They'd also be helping assist in conducting career research on what other inclusive or helpful career-related programs and resources would be beneficial for our scholars based off of career clusters or interests. This will be a virtual internship. Eligibility requirements include they must have an ITIN or social security number, have a 2.5 GPA minimum. We're looking for somebody that has strong attention to organizational skills and to detail. Someone that also has experience in Google Sheets or spreadsheets and working with a lot of data or research. And we're also looking with somebody, it's not required, but preferred, that they have experience themselves in finding and participating in at least one paid internship or fellowship already. If you know any scholars that may be interested, please encourage them to apply. The deadline will be in about 2 weeks' time, Sunday, October 6th, and the stipend for this internship will be $4,000. This is also posted on Parker Dewey. Next slide, please. Another exciting offering is through Immigrants Rising, and their program is called Home is Here Opportunity Program. It's a pilot program where they are looking for undocumented individuals nationwide, in which Immigrants Rising will prepare and train participants to serve as entrepreneur ambassadors and leaders across the country. Eligibility requirements include the individual being undocumented. They don't need to be current students. It can also be alumni. They also do not need to be part of the TheDream.Us program. The individual needs to have experience or interest or experience in entrepreneurship and advocacy. They need to be comfortable in public speaking, sharing their story, and community building, and must be able to commit to 10 to 15 hours per week. This opportunity, as well as all opportunities I'm going to be briefly talking about, do require a social security number or an ITIN. You can nominate an individual that you feel may be interested in this program. There's a nomination link that I think that Nicole, thank you, just put in the chat. There's also a website more on this program. It'll run mid-fall to March of 2025, and all individuals will receive a $7,000 stipend. I also just want to look at my notes and mention too that this can be a great opportunity if you nominate one of your students or alumni to be part of this network of immigrant entrepreneur ambassadors nationwide. Because what that means is if your scholar or alumni is selected, they can bring back their training and their knowledge to your college campus as well as to your community. Next slide. So I think the next two resources are based in New York City. This first one is Oyate Group, their Beyond Rising internship. And this internship is fairly new. I think they started it in 2022. But this internship, in a nutshell, is connecting New York City undocumented youth to internships with colleges, businesses, and nonprofits in New York City. Typically, they're around workforce development or college access. This deadline is approaching. It's in about a week's time on September 29th. But for those of you in New York City, if any of your scholars meet these requirements, there is that age requirement being between 16 and 20. All majors are welcome. They must have time to commit to this internship. And then if they are selected, they will receive a monthly stipend of $500 via a Visa gift card. Next slide. Another New York City-based opportunity is Sadie Nash, the Ella Fellowship. This is also for individuals located in New Jersey. This is an 8-month fellowship that brings to life a social justice project that fellows work on and bring to life within their community. This deadline is also quickly approaching, which is, I think, in a week's time. Selected fellows or fellows who are selected will receive a $1,200 stipend. As you can see, there's also an age requirement. There's a location requirement. They need to be located in New York City, New Jersey, or no farther than 2 hours from those locations, because that is where I believe they have their 2 offices headquartered. Individuals also need to self-identify as a woman or gender expansive person. They have to commit to a certain number of hours to work on their individual social justice project and attend monthly mandatory retreats. And as part of the application, they do need to create and upload a 2 to 3 page project proposal, which more information can be found on their website. Next slide. Sorry, I'm just seeing a question in the chat. So Mariana asked for the Home is Here opportunity. If the staff nominates a fellow with the form, do you recommend that the student alumni still submits the general Home is Here? Yes. So there is a nomination form for Immigrants Rising Home is Here opportunity. Just because you nominate someone, the individual will still need to apply. If you nominate someone, I believe Immigrants Rising will email that individual to encourage them to apply. All right, next opportunity. This doesn't have an age requirement. This does not have a location requirement. This also does not have a requirement of an individual needing to be a current college student or not. So this is more inclusive. We're talking about Code the Dream. Code the Dream is a nonprofit organization that was originally founded by a formerly undocumented person. They offer free coding and software development courses through their Code the Dream Learns program. And then for individuals who successfully pass and go through those free virtual coding classes are eligible to apply to paid apprenticeships through their Code the Dream labs. So their learning classes are free. There's no stipend involved. However, those that go through the classes are eligible to apply for apprenticeships that are about 10 months long and pay out about $30,000 to $35,000. So we do know a few students that have gone through both the Learns and Labs program. In regards to the free classes, Code the Dream offers free courses 3 times a year: fall semester, spring, and then summer. Their spring trimester applications close at the beginning of November on November 10th. You can see some of the eligibility requirements listed there. But if you know of any students you are welcome to share this opportunity with them. Next slide, please. Another more inclusive opportunity that doesn't have a location requirement or an age requirement is Teach for America's Ignite Fellowship. Now, some of you might be more familiar with this opportunity. We've been promoting this out for, I believe, the past year, year and a half, and we've had over 100 TheDream.Us scholars who have already participated in the Ignite Fellowship. So in essence, Teach for America's fellowship program, it's a virtual paid part-time tutoring fellowship. That snapshot is actually one of our current scholars who's been in Ignite Fellowship for the past few semesters doing virtual tutoring to her assigned elementary school. Eligibility requirements: they must be a current undergraduate or graduate college student, or if they were a past Ignite Fellow, they can also renew and participate in future semesters. I will mention that the Ignite Fellowship, they only offer their program in the fall and spring semester, but we've had a number of scholars that have done it for more than one semester. They need to have a 2.5 GPA or higher, obviously an ITIN or social security number, be able to commit to tutor up to 5 hours a week. I do also want to mention, because we get this question often, if our scholars are selected, they must complete a TruScreen background check. And we often hear that sometimes undocumented individuals, well, can they go through a background check? Can they not? With TruScreen, they accept ITIN, or excuse me, you don't need to input a social security number. So TheDream.Us is very proactive in informing students about how to complete the TruScreen background check. So for individuals who are ITIN holders, they would just enter all 8s or all 9s in the social security number field. Next slide. All right, I'm getting towards the end and I'll try to move quickly to leave time for Q&A. So this is a fairly new opportunity that I've learned about that is inclusive. However, this program has been around for 30+ years. So Health Career Connection, I believe they're a nonprofit organization. They have a summer internship program for public health students or students that are interested in public health, particularly for diverse, low-income, and first-generation college students. The program runs over the summer, depending on the host site of where students are placed. Stipends can range between $4,200 to $6,000. Also, host sites determine whether or not these opportunities are in-person, remote, or hybrid. But eligibility requirements include they must be undergraduate or recent college graduate. This is not open to graduate students. In fact, a good majority of these programs I mentioned are not open to graduate students, except Teach for America's Ignite Fellowship. They need to be from diverse low-income backgrounds, interest in public health, an ability to intern the necessary hours per week during the summer. What I will mention is that applications are not open yet. There is a registration form, but that is different than the application form. Applications will open Wednesday, October 9th, and the deadline to apply will be December 11th. Next slide, please. Also, with the same organization, Health Career Connections, not only do they have a summer internship program that's inclusive, they also have a Health Equity Scholars Program. This is a completely virtual program to develop next generation of diverse health equity and racial justice leaders. This also runs over the summer and has a stipend of $2,000. The application opens and the deadline closes at the same time of the summer internship. And as you can see there's some eligibility requirements. I will mention that students can apply for both programs. And that I've learned from talking to this organization that they've had some students, a few students participate in both, but usually they're selected for one or the other. Next slide. We've also been promoting UCLA's through their Labor Center, their Dream Summer Fellowships, which helps place immigrant youth with social justice organizations across the country. We've also had a number of the Dream.Us scholars participate in these opportunities. However, this opportunity is also open to any undocumented individual that meets these requirements that you see on your screen. Applications, I don't know when they'll open quite yet, but usually they open either in December or January, and the deadline to apply is usually end of January. Next slide. All right, I think this is my last slide. So as you can see, there was a good number of NIBOs. However, if you're not in the right city or state, if your students aren't in the right age, there's still not a lot of opportunity for our scholars when it comes to paid career development opportunities. So I know you've heard me hear about our internship and fellowship program. If you have not signed up and participate, I highly encourage you to do so because you can receive up to $15,000 per calendar year from the Dream.Us to create your own inclusive NIBOs, your own paid internship and fellowship opportunities for the Dream.Us scholars. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. I think that's my last slide. So, yep, I'll pass it over to Chris.
Thank you so much, Nicole, for all of that. That was a lot of information. I hope that it was hopefully it was useful to all of you. So hopefully these are again tools that you'll be able to put into your toolkit. Before we open up the forum, we did have a question regarding the dream code, the dream, Nicole, that I think that our other Nicole answered, but I just want to sort of just make sure that we're on the right page. Is Code the Dream open to anyone, or does it have to be only undocumented students?
Good question. So it is open to anyone interested in learning coding, software development skills. There is no college enrollment. I'm just seeing that in the chat. It looks like, thanks, Nicole Mejia. What Nicole mentioned in the chat is correct as well.
Perfect. Awesome. Just wanted to double check. And then we have another question for you, Nicole. Are scholars limited to one TheDream.Us internship opportunity per academic year or throughout their entire academic experience?
Yeah, that's another great question. So for the Dream.Us internship funding program, we do set a limit to where one individual scholar can participate in up to, essentially it could be up to 2 internship opportunities per calendar year, with a maximum stipend of $8,000. Now, with that said, you as your own institution can narrow down that requirement if you want to spread out your funding more. We know that some of our partner colleges don't have as many scholars. We know others have a lot. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you. We have another question. If we apply for funds to create a paid internship, would the money be for this academic year or next?
Yeah, great question. So if you apply ASAP, like in with the next 2 weeks, you could receive funding for this fall semester and do kind of a test or pilot run. And then once you apply, you only need to apply once to our internship or fellowship program. You will always receive funding for each program year, which aligns with the calendar year, January 1st to December 31st. So if you get your application in within the next 2 weeks, yes, you can receive funds for this fall semester as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So we do want to hear from everyone, but quickly before we just open up the floor, I did want to open up a poll. So if Nicole Mejia, if you can open up the poll. We hope that the information that we are providing is beneficial to you all. The last two sessions have been jam-packed with resources, guides in supporting this population, but we want to, again, just get your feedback. Is the information that we are providing beneficial to you? So the question for the prompt is, what topics do you think would be most beneficial in your work with undocumented students? Again, doesn't have to be scholars, it could be just overall, that you would like us to cover in a future PC Power Hour. So it is an open-ended question. You can go ahead and type in whatever your response is to that. Because again, we want to make sure that we are meeting our partner colleges where they are and getting the resources that they need in order to support this population, right? So please take a minute and just go ahead and respond. And while folks are doing that, I also would like to just open up the floor for any comments, concerns, questions, any open dialogue that you had about this session or the Dream.Us program in general. Now is the opportunity for us to be able to open up the space. So you don't have to type in the chat. Feel free to unmute yourself, raise your hand, and we can open up discussion. Don't be shy. We all know each other. We've been here for months. Marina.
So I had an opportunity to have 4 of the interns from the Oyate group internship, and it was a great experience. So I think everybody should take the opportunity to support and be part of it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Does
You're
anybody?
welcome.
Yeah, go ahead, Marina.
No, that's it. I say you're welcome.
Oh, thank you. Gracias.
And if at the end, if I can talk to you for a little minute after the meeting.
We will definitely stick on for a bit.
Okay, thank you.
How you doing, please? It's me, Gabriela.
Good, good. How are you?
Good. You know that I'm been trying to figure out how to help the students in radiology major. They need to have for work part. They have the INT number. They complete the form. Now they're asking him for another paper and the W-2, and this being back and forth. If you asking what will be most beneficial, I would love to have more legal knowledge, understand not only it's understand how to tell them, okay, INT number, the forms, you need to do that for a specific job that you require licenses. And when you can pass through the license in private organization, you can work all these steps that I know we have all the time different drop ups information, but only one workshop, only focus in that's it, nothing else. In that way, we can cover so many questions the students, and I know that they will be full of students right now because this is the main concern. Everybody have different problems and everybody need different support, and it's so difficult to know exactly what to answer when they ask you, That will be for me. I really need to get more information. I'm trying to find somebody to help me to help her because she has the INT number. She has everything to get the job. She just finished radiology. She got the license, but find a job is the problem.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that feedback. We will definitely think about how we can continue to incorporate that. Nicole, I don't know if you have any. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to clarify too, because we get this oftentimes confused with partner college staff and sometimes our scholars. With I-10s, when someone gets an I-10, it does not change their work authorization nor immigration status. An I-10 is specifically issued by the IRS to file and pay taxes. So what I'm getting at is, unfortunately, an individual with an I-10 does not have legal work authorization. However, it does open up more doors to them so they can participate in some of these NEBO's opportunities I've mentioned, and they can pursue entrepreneurial career pathways, such as starting their business, doing independent contracting, and freelancing. But an I-10 does not equal legal work authorization in the US.
Thank you so much for that clarification, Nicole. I also see a question regarding, can the immigration Q&A help with ITINs? If a student does have a specific question on an ITIN, SUI will most likely be able to sort of assist them, but we always, and I see Nicole Mejia has already done that, we often refer folks to our ITIN reference guides that Nicole Wesley has done such a great job of really making it very digestible for our scholars as much as possible, and is posted on our website. So if you have any students with ITIN questions, please refer them to those guides on our website as a starting point, because that will hopefully answer the majority of their questions and hopefully guide them towards going through that process. And again, Nicole does also host ITIN sessions, usually during the spring semester.
And it's open for all the students now, because I also see Dream Act students and undocumented in general. Anybody I can give this the same website?
Yes,
It's no
correct.
specific. Okay, thank you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Hello, this is Martha Molina. I'm sorry, this is Martha Molina with Trinity. Was calling you concerning an appointment we made at 3 o'clock, but I can call you and so we can discuss your situation. Please email me again. And hello?
Yes,
Oh, hi. Are you available to speak right now?
I can do it. We can
Okay,
chat
okay.
after the session. We can definitely
All
chat.
right.
We can definitely
Let me-
set up an appointment. Yes. All right. So I know that we are at time at this point. So I think we can close out the poll. I think we had a number of folks who answered, and we will review the results of that. And again, in preparation for future PC Power Hours, like I said, we want to be great partners with everyone. So we take your feedback to the heart. We will look at this information and we will use it as we continue to create these presentations and provide you information. For next month, we will be doing our promotional kickoff. And so we will be having that session completely dedicated to the new application round, which is opening up November 1st. So we will share tons of information regarding any new application updates. ISTS also went through a little bit of a systems update, which we'll be letting you know about that. And then just showing all of the promotional toolkits and tips and tools to help you recruit for the next application round. So thank you all so much for participating. Again, hopefully this information was useful for you, that you'll be able to take this back and use it as you serve undocumented students across the board on your campuses. Please feel free to always reach out to us if you need anything. We are here in support of you as well. I will stick around for a bit if anyone has any last minute questions or concerns that we want to talk about.